You have heard about miracles, but you are about to witness the miracle of your own destiny. Today, I'm not talking about luck. I'm talking about a force that shifts the axis of your life. Listen carefully, because when this truth hits your heart, it changes your world forever. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand this with clarity and power. Money does not come from thin air. It comes from the invisible realm of purpose, courage, obedience, and relentless action. What looks like out of nowhere to the outside world is actually the harvest of seeds planted in secret places. Long before a breakthrough shows up in your hands, it is born in your heart. Long before provision appears in your life, preparation is taking place in your character. The world applauds the moment, but heaven honors the process. When we say money comes out of nowhere, we do not mean random fortune. We mean a breakthrough, a shift in your season where provision seems to appear exactly when you need it most. These moments are not coincidences. They are divine alignments between your readiness and your opportunity. You don't stumble into them by accident. You don't stumble into them by accident. You step into them because you stayed faithful when nobody was watching. Because you kept moving when progress felt invisible. Because you refused to surrender your vision to delay. There are seasons when you work and nothing seems to change. You pray and nothing seems to move. You give your best and still feel overlooked. In those seasons, the heart is tested. Many people quit, not because they are incapable, but because they misinterpret silence as rejection. Yet, silence is often preparation. The soil is silent while the seed is breaking open. The roots grow in darkness before the tree ever reaches the light. What you call waiting is often becoming. And when becoming is complete, provision arrives with precision. Understand this: provision flows to purpose. When your life is anchored to a clear calling, resources begin to gravitate toward you. Ideas start finding you. People who carry solutions cross your path. Opportunities that once seemed distant come within reach. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you changed. Your awareness sharpened. Your courage matured. Your obedience aligned you with those that were always there but previously unseen. Courage is the bridge between vision and reality. Many people have dreams, but few have the bravery to act. When fear whispers, "Not now," courage says, "Even if I'm not ready, I will begin." Courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement in spite of fear. Each step you take stretches your capacity. Each risk you take trains your spirit to trust the path you cannot fully see. And with every act of courage, you position yourself closer to the provision that matches your purpose. Obedience is the discipline of doing what is right before it is rewarded. It is choosing integrity when shortcuts are tempting. It is choosing consistency when motivation fades. It is choosing growth when comfort invites you to stay small. Obedience creates credibility within you. It builds the kind of inner authority that can carry greater responsibility. And responsibility attracts provision. The more you can be trusted with, the more you are entrusted with. The relentless action is the language that opportunity understands. The universe responds to movement. Doors do not open to wishes, they open to footsteps. Every small action compounds. Every disciplined habit becomes a brick in the structure of your future. You may not see immediate results, but momentum is being formed. One day, the momentum breaks through resistance, and what once felt impossible suddenly feels inevitable. People will call it a miracle. You will know it was momentum meeting timing. Timing is not about chance, it is about readiness. When readiness meets opportunity, provision appears. What looks sudden to others is often the visible surface of years of invisible preparation. The late nights, the quiet sacrifices, the lessons learned through failure, the patience practiced through disappointment, all of it converges into a moment of alignment. And when alignment happens, supply meets demand. The need meets the answer. The vision meets the resource. Your mind must be trained to recognize opportunity when it arrives. Many people pray for open doors, but walk past them because they don't look like what they imagined. Sometimes provision arrives disguised as responsibility. Sometimes it arrives disguised as a challenge. Sometimes it arrives disguised as an invitation that stretches you beyond comfort. If you are waiting for perfect conditions, you will miss divine timing. Growth often begins where comfort ends. Do not despise small beginnings. What seems small today may be the gateway to something far greater tomorrow. Faithfulness in little things cultivates capacity for greater things. Excellence in unseen places prepares you for visible influence. The discipline you practice in obscurity shapes the authority you carry in the spotlight. When the moment comes and provision appears, you will not be overwhelmed by it because your character will be strong enough to hold it. Let this truth settle in your heart. You are not waiting for provision. Provision is waiting for your alignment. When your inner world is aligned with your outer actions, the flow begins. When your belief aligns with your behavior, doors open. When your purpose aligns with your persistence, what once felt the distant draws near. This is why it feels like money comes out of nowhere, because you have stepped into the place where preparation and opportunity finally meet. So do not lose heart in the quiet seasons. Do not grow weary in the unseen work. Do not measure your progress by what is visible alone. The invisible is working for you. The roots are deepening. The foundation is strengthening. And when the moment of alignment arrives, what you need will appear with precision. Not because of chance, but because you became ready to receive it. Let me tell you what truly brings money from nowhere. It is not chance and it is not magic. It is a sequence of inner alignment and outer action that creates results so sudden they look miraculous to those who only see the final moment. What people call overnight success is usually the visible end of a long hidden journey. When the inner world lines up with disciplined effort, provision appears with precision. Purpose is your spiritual and personal call. When you are aligned with your deepest purpose, everything begins to gravitate toward you. You start waking up with direction instead of confusion. Your energy stops leaking into distractions and begins to pour into what truly matters. People feel your conviction and trust your clarity. Opportunities recognize you because you recognize yourself. This is not mysticism. It is alignment. When your purpose is clear, your decisions become simpler. Your standards become stronger, and your actions become consistent. The world responds to consistency. Resources follow those who are anchored in why they do what they do. When your purpose is firm, you stop chasing everything and start attracting them. Right things. What looks like invisible forces working on your behalf is often the natural result of living in alignment with what you were meant to build and contribute. Clarity is knowing exactly what you are called to do. A life with direction does not wander into provision by accident. It walks into it by de-essaying. The moment you commit to a clear path, your mind begins to organize itself around that vision. Your attention sharpens. Your priorities reorder. Your creativity activates. Problems become puzzles instead of obstacles. And solutions begin to surface where confusion once lived. Clarity gives your brain a target, and the brain is wired to search for what it is told to value. When you are unclear, you see noise. When you are clear, you see openings. The same environment that once felt limiting suddenly feels full of possibilities. This is why two people can stand in the same place and see completely different futures. Clarity trains your eyes to recognize opportunity, your ears to recognize wisdom, and your instincts to recognize timing. With clarity, you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating momentum with the moment you have. Work is focused, determined, disciplined action. Every breakthrough you have ever admired was first the result of persistent effort, not just hopeful thinking. Effort primes the soil. Faith pulls the harvest. Action turns belief into reality. Consistency compounds in ways that are invisible day by day, but undeniable over time. The discipline to show up when motivation fades is what builds momentum. The willingness to practice when applause is absent is what builds mastery. The courage to keep refining your craft when progress feels slow is what separates dreamers from builders. Work is not punishment. It is partnership with your vision. Each small step trains your capacity to carry more. Each completed task builds trust within you that you can rely on yourself. That inner trust becomes a powerful force when opportunity arrives. It looks for those who are already moving. Doors open more easily to people who are in motion, because motion signals readiness. What appears to be sudden provision is often opportunity meeting prepare, add effort. Trust is the belief that the unseen is working for you, not against you. Trust stabilizes your emotions when outcomes are uncertain. It keeps you moving when evidence is incomplete. Trust does not mean denying difficulty. It means refusing to let difficulty define your future. When doubt fades and confidence rises, your posture changes. You speak with more assurance. You act with more courage. You risk with more wisdom. And doors that once felt sealed begin to open. Not because the world suddenly became generous, but because you became bold enough to knock, consistent enough to return, and patient enough to wait for the right timing. Trust anchors you during delays and protects you from despair during setbacks. It allows you to interpret challenges as training instead of punishment. This inner stability is magnetic. People trust those who trust themselves. Opportunities flow toward those who carry calm conviction rather than frantic urgency. When purpose, clarity, work, and trust move together, something powerful happens. Your inner alignment creates out attraction. Your consistency builds credibility. Your courage attraction collaborators. Your vision invites provision. Your vision invites provision. The process does not remove struggle, but it transforms struggle into meaning. Each obstacle becomes a signal to define your approach. Each delay becomes an invitation to deepen your preparation. Each failure becomes feedback instead of a verdict. Over time, your capacity grows to meet greater responsibility, and responsibility attracts resources. This is why provision often shows up at the exact moment you are ready to carry it. Not too early to waste it, not too late to miss it, but precisely when your character can hold the weight of what arrives. Do not underestimate the quiet work of alignment. The world celebrates results, but results are born in the unseen. Disciplines of daily choice. E. choosing to refine your purpose instead of chasing distractions, choosing clarity instead of comfort, choosing disciplined work instead of convenient excuses, choosing trust instead of fear-driven hesitation. These choices compound. They shape your habits. Your habits shape your identity, and your identity shapes the opportunities you attract and the resources you steward. This is how provision seems to come from nowhere. It is not nowhere. It is from a place of alignment you have been building within yourself all along. So keep aligning your life with your purpose. Keep clarifying your direction. Keep working with focus and discipline. Keep trusting the process even when the path feels slow. One day, alignment and opportunity will meet, and what arrives will look sudden to others. To you, it will feel like the natural next step in a journey you never abandoned. Money comes out of nowhere. Sounds mysterious, but here's the truth behind the phrase. Money doesn't literally fall from the sky. It comes from aligned preparation, wise timing, and bold obedience to the steps you know you must take. What appears sudden to others is usually the result of quiet discipline practiced over time. Breakthrough is rarely random. It is the visible moment when readiness finally meets opportunity. When you have worked faithfully in the hidden seasons, sacrificing comfort, enduring setbacks, and believing when nothing seems evident, that is often the precise season when provision shows up. The hidden seasons are where character is formed and capacity is built. They are the seasons where you learn patience, where you refine your skills, and where your commitment is tested without applause. Most people want the reward without the refining, but life does not work that way. The refining prepares you to carry the reward without being crushed by it. Aligning preparation means you are in just busy. You are intentional. You are learning what you need to learn, practicing what you need to practice, and building what you need to build, even when no one is clapping for you. Even when no one is clapping for you, you invest in your growth when there is no guarantee of immediate return. You develop habits that support your future, not just your present comfort. This kind of preparation looks ordinary on the outside, but it creates extraordinary outcomes over time. When opportunity arrives, preparation allows you to recognize it and step into it with confidence instead of hesitation. Timing matters. There are moments when you can push as hard as you want, but the door will not open yet. This is not failure, it is formation. Timing protects you from receiving something before you are ready to steward it well. Many people receive opportunities too early and lose them because they did not have the maturity, skills, or stability to sustain what they were given. When timing aligns, effort multiplies. The same action that once produced little result suddenly produces much. It feels miraculous, but it is simply the moment when your growth and the opportunity finally meet. Bold obedience is the willingness to act when comfort would prefer delay. It is choosing the difficult right over the easy wrong. It is taking the next step even when the entire path is not visible. Bold obedience often looks like making a decision that stretches you beyond what feels safe. It might mean starting before you feel ready, speaking up when it would be easier to stay silent, or committing to a path that demands consistency rather than convenience. These decisions are rarely dramatic in the moment, but they reshape your trajectory over time. Each act of obedience strengthens your inner authority and builds trust within yourself. That inner trust becomes the foundation for outer opportunity. Provision tends to appear what? And responsibility has already been practiced in small ways. When you have learned to manage little with integrity, you become capable of managing more with wisdom. When you have shown up consistently in private, you are prepared to be entrusted publicly. This is why provision often arrives at the edge of exhaustion right after. Perseverance has been tested, not because struggle is required to earn reward, but because endurance builds the strength required to carry what comes next. The moment of breakthrough is often the moment you are tempted to quit. Those who keep going step into what others walk away from. It can feel unfair when you give your best and see no immediate return. But not every return is immediate. Some returns are cumulative. They gather quietly until the day they surface all at once. When that day comes, people may call it luck. They may say it came from nowhere. They did not see the discipline, the learning, the patience, and the resilience that built the foundation for that moment. You know the truth. It came from showing up when it was hard, choosing growth when it was slow, and trusting the process when it was unclear. So do not underestimate the hidden seasons. Do not despise the slow progress. Each faithful step is storing strength within you. Each challenge is refining your capacity. Each moment of obedience is aligning you with what is meant to find you. And when preparation, timing, and bold action cover, provision appears with precision. What looks sudden is simply the visible arrival of something you have been preparing to receive all along. It only works once in a lifetime. No, that idea needs to be corrected with truth and clarity. Your life has multiple windows of breakthrough. Opportunity does not visit you just one time and then disappear forever. Seasons change. Doors open more than once. Paths root. Fresh chances arise. New forms. What is rare is not opportunity. What is rare is the moment of decision that permanently change who you are. Breakthrough is born in a single defining choice. The moment you decide that you will not return to your old patterns, your old excuses, and your old limitations. There is one threshold where you say, I will not be who I was tomorrow. This is not a motivational phrase. It is a line you draw in your own identity. On one side of that line is comfort, familiarity, and the safety of what you already know. On the other side is growth, uncertainty, and the responsibility of becoming more than you have been. Crossing that threshold changes your relationship with yourself. You stop negotiating with your potential. You stop postponing the life you know you are capable of living. You stop tolerating habits that keep you small. This moment is not loud or dramatic for most people. Often it is quiet. It happens in a private decision when no one is watching. But it alters the direction of your life. From that moment, your mentality changes. You begin to think in terms of long-term growth rather than short-term comfort. You become less reactive and more intentional. You start asking better questions, not what is easiest, but what will make me better. You move from seeking approval to seeking alignment with your values. This shift in mentality changes how you interpret obstacles. Challenges become training grounds rather than signs to quit. Delays become seasons of preparation rather than reasons to doubt yourself. Your mind becomes a place of strategy instead of self-sabotage. Your standards rise. You no longer tolerate environments, relationships, or routines that drain your energy and distract you from your direction. You become selective with your time because you recognize its value. You begin to choose quality over convenience. This does not make why rigid. It makes you responsible. Higher standards create healthier boundaries. They protect your focus. They preserve your energy. They guide your choices. When your standards rise, your life reorganizes around what you are willing to accept and what you refuse to accept. This reorganization creates space for opportunities that match your new level of commitment. Your persistence strengthens. You no longer quit at the first sign of difficulty. You develop the capacity to stay in the process long enough to learn from it. Persistence is not stubbornness. It is disciplined resilience. It is the ability to keep moving forward with wisdom, adjusting your approach without abandoning your goal. Each time you endure discomfort without retreating to old habits, you build inner strength. That strength compounds over time. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. You become the kind of person who can carry responsibility without collapsing under pressure. Your faith becomes unstoppable. Faith here is not denial of reality. It is confidence in growth through reality. It is the belief that effort has meaning, that consistency creates momentum, and that setbacks do not define the final outcome. This kind of faith stabilizes your emotions. It allows you to move forward without needing constant reassurance. When your faith is rooted in action and growth, it becomes resilient. You trust the process because you trust the person you are becoming through the process. At that point, money appears to come out of nowhere because you have become the kind of person that opportunity recognizes. Money does not chase desperation. It aligns with capacity. When you grow in clarity, discipline, and resilience, you become a reliable steward of opportunity. People trust you with responsibility. Ideas flow toward you because you have trained yourself to execute. Doors open because you have. They've shown that you can walk through them with integrity. What looks sudden to others is simply the natural result of inner transformation meeting external opportunity. So it is not that provision works only once in a lifetime. Provision flows repeatedly to those who repeatedly choose growth over comfort. The defining moment is the decision to leave your old self behind. Once you cross that threshold, you enter a life where breakthrough is not a rare accident, but a recurring result of who you have chosen to become. Research-based truths back this reality in a grounded, practical way. What often sounds like motivation is supported by psychology, neuroscience, and economics. When you look closely at how human change and success actually happen, success psychology has long observed that human behavior is shaped by belief. First, then action. What you believe about yourself, your capacity, and your future quietly directs your choices. If you believe growth is possible, you attempt more. If you believe you are capable of learning, you persist longer. Belief does not replace action, but it determines where the action begins and whether it continues when results are slow. People who change their inner narrative tend to change their outer behavior. This is why mindset shifts often precede visible life changes. When belief expands, the range of actions you are willing to take expands with it. Neuroscience adds another layer of understanding. The brain is not fixed. It adapts based on what you repeatedly focus on and practice. This adaptability, often called neuroplasticity, explains why committing to a clear purpose sharpens creativity and problem solving. Over time, when you give your mind a meaningful target, it begins to reorganize itself around that goal. You notice relevant information more easily. You connect ideas more creatively. You become better at navigating obstacles. B, because your brain is literally strengthening the pathways associated with the skills and perspectives you are using most. This is why people who commit to a direction often report that ideas just started coming. It is not magic. It is the brain becoming more efficient at serving a chosen purpose through repeated focus and effort. Economic research and real-world patterns also support the idea that major financial breakthroughs are rarely the product of chance alone. People who experience significant improvements in income or opportunity typically do so at the intersection of persistent effort, timely opportunity, and clarity of direction. Persistent effort builds skill, reputation, and readiness. Opportunity provides access to leverage points where effort can multiply. Clarity of vision helps individuals recognize and seize those leverage points when they appear. Remove any one of these elements, and the likelihood of sustained breakthrough drops. Effort without opportunity can lead to exhaustion. Opportunity without readiness can be wasted. Clarity without action remains intention. When all three converge, progress accelerates. What people call sudden success is often the visible outcome of long-term preparation, meeting a moment of alignment. From the outside, it looks abrupt. From the inside, it feels like a natural next step that you have been preparing for without always realizing it. This is why two people can encounter the same opportunity and have completely different outcomes. One sees a risk and retreats. The other sees a challenge and steps forward. The difference is not luck. The difference is readiness, shaped by belief, training, shaped by persistence, and perception, shaped by clarity. There is no mystery here. Principles operate whether you are aware of them or not. Belief influences behavior. Repeated behavior reshapes the brain. A reshaped brain improves problem solving and creativity. Improved problem solving increases the ability to recognize and act on opportunity. Acting on opportunity compounds results. This chain is not spiritual in a vague sense. It is practical, observable, and repeatable. What people often describe as momentum is simply the cumulative effect of these principles working together over time. Spiritual momentum, in a grounded sense, refers to the alignment of values, actions, and intention. When your inner commitments match your outer behaviors, you experience less inner resistance. Less resistance means more energy for focused effort. Focused effort leads to clearer progress. Clear progress reinforces belief. This positive cycle creates forward motion that feels powerful because it is consistent. The momentum builds not from one dramatic act, but from many small, aligned choices made repeatedly. So, when you hear stories of breakthroughs that seem to come from nowhere, understand that what you are seeing is the surface of deeper principles at work. Belief shapes the actions. Repetition reshaped the brain. Persistence built readiness. Clarity revealed opportunity. Opportunity met preparation. The result feels sudden, but the process was gradual. This is not mystery, it is law, principle, and momentum working together in real life. Final declaration. Listen just once and let this settle deep within you. You were crafted for impact. You were created for provision. You were positioned for acceleration. Your life is not an accident, and your breakthrough is not random. It is preordained in the sense that your capacity for growth, contribution, and provision is built into who you are. You carry within you the potential to become more than your current circumstances suggest. What unfolds in your life is not a matter of chance alone. It is shaped by the choices you make, the direction you take, and the consistency with which you move forward. When the phrase money comes out of nowhere is spoken, it is not pointing to randomness. It is pointing to alignment. It is pointing to the moment when preparation meets opportunity. It is pointing to the season when the effort you invested in quiet places begins to show results in visible ways. Provision feels sudden because the process that created it was mostly invisible. The late nights, the unseen discipline, the private learning, the silent perseverance, all of it was building toward a moment when movement accelerates. Acceleration feels miraculous because progress finally becomes noticeable. When purpose meets persistence, provision becomes unavoidable. Purpose gives direction to your energy. Persistence gives endurance to your effort. Together, they create traction. Without purpose, persistence becomes exhaustion. Without purpose, persistence becomes exhaustion. Without persistence, purpose remains an idea. When both are present, forward motion becomes consistent. Consistent motion compounds into momentum. Momentum attracts resources, relationships, and opportunities because people and systems tend to respond to those who are already moving with intention. The world opens more readily to those who demonstrate commitment through action. When faith becomes louder than fear, what once felt impossible begins to feel approachable. Faith here is not denial of difficulty. It is confidence in growth through difficulty. Fear narrows your vision to what could go wrong. Faith widens your vision to what could go right if you stay engaged. When faith guides your decisions, you take wiser risks. You speak up when silence would keep you small. You begin when perfection is unavailable. You learn through action instead of waiting for certainty. Over time, these choices build evidence within you that you can navigate uncertainty. That inner evidence strengthens confidence. Confidence changes how you show up in rooms, how you approach challenges, and how you respond to setbacks. The shift may be subtle at first, but it compounds. What once paralyzed you becomes a signal to prepare and move forward with intention. When you refuse to quit, abundance becomes your testimony. Refusing to quit does not mean refusing to adapt. It means refusing to abandon your growth when the path becomes uncomfortable. It means adjusting your approach without abandoning your direction. Every time you continue after disappointment, you strengthen resilience. Every time you learn from failure instead of retreating into shame, you gain wisdom. Over time, resilience becomes part of your identity. People who carry resilience tend to be trusted with greater responsibility because they have demonstrated that they can endure pressure without collapsing. Responsibility attracts provision because resources follow reliability. This is how abundance becomes a testimony, not as a sudden reward for desire, but as a natural outcome of sustained growth. Acceleration happens when your inner development catches up with your outer opportunity. Many people encounter opportunity. Many people encounter opportunityarity before they are ready to carry it. When readiness and opportunity align, progress feels fast. This is not because the work disappeared, but because the foundation is already in place. The foundation was built through consistency, learning, and self-discipline. When the moment arrives, you step into it with stability instead of chaos. To others, it looks like a miracle. To you, it feels like the next step in a long journey of becoming. So, listen just once and remember this. Your breakthrough is not random. Your growth is not meaningless. Your effort is not wasted. Each aligned choice builds capacity. Each act of courage builds confidence. Each moment of persistence builds momentum. And when alignment meets opportunity, provision appears with precision. What seems to come from nowhere is simply the visible arrival of something you have been preparing to receive all along. Standing with you in every step because your season of breakthrough has arrived. This is not a promise of ease. It is a call to engagement. A season of breakthrough does not remove effort, but it multiplies the impact of your effort. It is a season where your choices matter more because alignment is closer than ever. The door is not open by wishing. It is open by stepping forward with intention. When you decide to move toward your destiny instead of away from it, you stop shrinking your life to fit your fears. You begin expanding your actions to match your potential. Make this promise to yourself today. You will run toward your destiny, not away from it. Running toward your destiny does not mean rushing blindly. It means moving with purpose. It means choosing growth, even when growth is uncomfortable. It means confronting habits that no longer serve you and building new ones that support where you are going. Running toward your destiny is choosing to learn when it would be easier to stay. The same it is choosing discipline when distraction is tempting. It is choosing courage when comfort feels safer. Each of these choices, made repeatedly, reshapes your direction. Promise that you will seize every opportunity and not let it slip. Opportunities do not always arrive in perfect packaging. Sometimes they come as responsibility. Sometimes they come as a challenge that stretches your current skills, Sometimes they come as a door that opens before you feel ready. Seizing opportunity does not mean saying yes to everything. It means recognizing what aligns with your direction and stepping into it with commitment. It means preparing yourself so that when opportunity appears, you can respond with readiness instead of hesitation. Preparation is how you honor opportunity. When you take responsibility for your preparation, you increase the number of opportunities you can actually use. Promise that you will believe when everyone else doubts. Doubt from others is often a reflection of their own limits, not a measure of your potential. Belief is not stubborn optimism. It is grounded confidence built through effort and learning. Belief grows when you keep small promises to yourself. Each time you follow through, you strengthen your trust in your own capacity. That inner trust becomes a shield against discouragement. It allows you to continue moving forward even when support is scarce. Over time, belief shapes your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who persists, someone who adapts, someone who finishes what they start. That identity changes how you approach challenges and how others perceive your reliability. As you keep these promises, something subtle but powerful happens. What once felt impossible begins to feel approachable. The gap between where you are and where you want to be starts to shrink. Not because the goal became smaller, but because you became stronger. Your skills improve. Your judgment sharpens. Your resilience deepens. You stop being surprised by setbacks and start using them as information. Each obstacle becomes feedback rather than a verdict. This shift in perspective transforms pressure into training and delay into preparation. Daily reality begins to change, not through one dramatic leap, but through consistent alignment. Small, repeated actions compound. The habits you practice quietly shape the outcomes you experience publicly. When your actions align with your direction, progress becomes predictable. Not every day will feel victorious, but each day can move you forward if you stay engaged. Momentum grows from showing up when motivation is low. Confidence grows from keeping commitments when excuses are tempting. Over time, these small victories accumulate into visible change. What once seemed out of reach becomes part of your routine. Conversations you once avoided become opportunities you step into. Responsibilities you once feared become challenges you manage with calm focus. Results that once felt distant become milestones you pass on the way to the next level of growth. This is how the impossible becomes your daily reality. Not by denying difficulty, but by developing the capacity to meet it consistently. So stand firm in your promise. Move toward your destiny with intention. Recognize and prepare for opportunity. Believe through effort, not fantasy. As you do, you will notice your world responding differently. Doors open because you are ready to walk through them. Resources appear because you have built the discipline to steward them. Progress accelerates because your inner alignment supports your outer movement. And the life that once felt impossible becomes the life you are actively building, one aligned step at a time.